Well, good morning. Welcome to my daily videos with me, Pastor Michelle. Today's Sunday, November 22nd, and let's start with catching fire. So let's find out what PETA did during the private session with the game makers. Did you see it? PETA asked. No, but they made a real point of covering it up. Well, that would be standard. They can't let one tribute know what another did. What did you paint, PETA? Was it a picture of Katniss? Why would he paint a picture of me, Effie? To show he's going to do everything he can to defend you. That's what everyone in the Capitol is expecting. Anyway, didn't he volunteer to go in with you? Effie says, as if it's the most obvious thing in the world. Actually, I painted a picture of Rue, how she looked after Katniss had covered her in flowers. There's a long pause at the table while everyone absorbs this. And what exactly were you trying to accomplish, Haymitch asks. I'm not sure. I just wanted to hold them accountable, if only for a moment, for killing that little girl. This is dreadful. Effie sounds like she's about to cry. That sort of thinking, it's forbidden, PETA. Absolutely. You only bring down more trouble on yourself and Katniss. I have to agree with Effie on this one, says Haymitch. Portia and Sino remain silent, but their faces are very serious. Of course they're right. But even though it worries me, I think what he did was amazing. I guess this is a bad time to mention I hung a dummy and painted Seneca Crane's name on it. This has a desired effect. After a moment of disbelief, all the disapproval in the room hits me like a ton of bricks. You hung Seneca Crane? Cena says. Yes, I was showing off my new knot tying skills, and he somehow ended up at the end of the noose. Oh, Katniss, Effie said. How do you even know about that? Is it a secret? President Snow didn't act like it was. In fact, he seemed eager for me to know. Effie leaves the table with her napkin pressed to her face. Now I've upset Effie. I should have lied and said I shot some arrows. You'd have thought we planned it, says PETA, giving me the hint of a smile. Didn't you? Asked Portia. Her fingers press her eyelids closed as if she's warding off a very bright light. No, I say, looking at PETA with a new sense of appreciation. Neither of us even knew what we were going to do before we went in. And Haymitch, we decided we don't want any other allies in the arena. PETA said. Good, then I won't be responsible for you killing off any of my friends with your stupidity. That's what we were thinking, I tell him. We finish the meal in silence, but when we rise to go into the sitting room, Cena puts his arm around me and gives me a squeeze. Come on, let's go get those training scores. We gather around the TV set, and red-eyed Effie rejoins us. The tributes' faces come up district by district, and their scores flash under their pictures, 1 through 12. Predictably high scores for Cashmere, Gloss, Brutus, Inabaria, and Finnick. Low to medium for the rest. Have they ever given a 0? No, but there's a first time for everything, Cena says. And it turns out he's right, because when PETA and I each pull a 12, we make Hunger Games history. No one feels like celebrating, though. Why did they do that? So that the others will have no choice but to target you, says Haymitch flatly. Go to bed. I can't stand to look at either one of you. PETA walks me down to my room in silence, but before he can say goodnight, I wrap my arms around him and rest my head against his chest. His hands slide up my back, and his cheek leans against my hair. I'm sorry if I made things worse. No worse than I did. Why did you do it anyway, he says. I don't know, to show them that I'm more than just a piece in their games. He laughs a little, no doubt remembering the night before the games last year. We were on the roof, neither of us able to sleep. PETA had said something of the sort then, but I hadn't understood what he meant. Now I do. Me too, and I'm not saying I'm not going to try to get you home, but if I'm perfectly honest about it, if you're perfectly honest about it, you think President Snow has already given them direct orders to make sure we die in the arena. It's crossed my mind, PETA said. It crossed my mind too. But while I know I'll never leave that arena alive, I'm still holding on to the hope that PETA will. After all, he didn't pull out those berries, I did. No one has ever doubted that PETA's defiance was motivated by love. So maybe President Snow will prefer keeping him alive, crushed and heartbroken, as a living warning to others. But even if that happens, everyone will know we've gone out fighting, right? PETA asks. Everyone will. And for the first time, I distance myself from the personal tragedy that has consumed me since they announced the quell. I remember the old man they shot in 11 and Bonnie and Twill and the rumored uprisings. Yes, everyone in the districts will be watching me to see how I handle this death sentence. This final act of President Snow's dominance. They will be looking for some sign that their battles have not been in vain. If I can make it clear that I'm still defying the Capitol right up to the end, the Capitol will have killed me, but not my spirit. What better way to give hope to the rebels? So hope is so important these days, isn't it? Let's hear God's love note. First, a reading from John. Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Feed my lambs, Jesus said. When my son returned after his resurrection and spent time with his beloved brother Peter, Peter was a little cautious with his feelings. Jesus said, do you love me with a sacred and binding love? Peter said, Jesus, you know I love you like a brother. Jesus understood Peter's heart was fragile, still after the trauma he had gone through. So Jesus told Peter instead what truly loving him would look like, to take care of all the people Jesus loved. The same is true for you, and I will know your love by how you care for my children. And I want you to receive the same care in your community. That's a good one. If you love God, you love God's people. Plain and simple. So, our question: are Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, Seventh-day Adventists, Spiritists, Christian Scientists really Christians? Who gets to decide? So, the question of who gives approval for someone claiming to be a follower of Jesus has unfortunately been part of the faith from its founding. Jesus' disciples were accused of not being part of the faith of Abraham since they prayed the wrong way. They in turn thought that those who were not doing faith their way were out, only to be corrected by Jesus that whoever isn't against us is for us. Great quote. Christianity is not a faith in which there are certain cultural or belief quotas that must be met. Rather, it's an opt-in faith. The people are a part of the Christian tradition when they declare themselves to be. Not only was it that way at the time of Jesus, it was so in the years afterward. Christian's a cultural term assigned first to people in Antioch in the 1st century, and it's described in the book of the Bible called Acts. We're given a little nugget of understanding for how the term Christian was first used. It was given to non-Jewish followers of Jesus at Antioch who were following the teachings of Paul, but the Jewish believers did not consider these Christians to be true part of the faith. So the term was used first to exclude them from faith. Only later did it become the term used almost universally. With the development over the last 2,000 years of many versions of Christianity in varied cultures with opt-in faith beliefs, there's no standard bearing group that gets to speak on behalf of all Christian traditions. Christianity is a faith in which all professions are included. In the words of Peter, we're all invited to see that I really am learning that God doesn't show partiality to one group of people over another. And I love that. If they're for us, what is it that he says? Whoever isn't against us is for us. And so, I don't know if we would want to assign to a Mormon the title of Christian. I think it's up to everyone to decide whatever their faith is. And if they want to call themselves Christians, that's up to them. But I believe God is big enough to be in every faith. So the question of the day, have I ever made a website? And no, I don't think so. I think I did when I started pet sitting for people years ago. I made one called Michelle's Super Services, but I don't remember following through with it. So, no. But anyway, God bless you all, my friends. Stay safe out there.